Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.
I remember I was really
Welcome and thank you for attending for the one Alderman. This is sponsored by the League of Women Voters. I am Claire Laux. I will be your moderator. Oh, okay. Do you want me to start over? Okay, great. Okay. So our ushers are in the back, and please sign in when you come in. The question organizers are Peggy Cox and Vicki Lenz. The timekeeper is Connie Canitz. So let's get started. Each candidate has 3 minutes to introduce themselves. We will be starting with Danae Steele, and then we'll be going with Brian Defferty. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes.
So my name is Danae Steele. I have lived in Neenah for 5.5 years. Before that, we lived in Green Bay for several years. I am a physician. I am a subspecialist in high-risk pregnancy. And I'm also a parent and a grandparent. I have 5 adult children and a 9-year-old. And I have 14 grandchildren. I decided to run for this position because I care about this community. I love Neenah. I want to see Neenah work for everyone. I think there's a lot of issues that are important to our community. Those include jobs. They include housing, having a variety of housing options for our residents. They involve having safe streets, safe neighborhoods for people who live here. I think arts are really important. I think recreational activities for all ages are very important. I think all of these things make our community livable and attractive to new businesses, new residents. And so I decided to run because I wanted to get involved and I wanted to be part of the decision making in terms of what's important for our community. That's actually fine.
And Brian Defferty.
My name is Brian Defferty. I am 40 years old. I have lived in Neenah since 2011. Born and raised in Appleton, lived all around the Fox Valley almost all of my life. I'm an art grad, graduated from Minneapolis College of Art and Design in 2000 with a comic illustration degree, and I write, draw, and self-publish my own comic books in my own spare time. During the day, I'm also an inside sales representative for a small stainless steel company in Appleton. And it's a very small operation. There's maybe about 8 employees. It's a job that wears many hats, and I do enjoy working there. I've been working there about the same time that I've been living in Neenah. And one of the whole reasons why I decided to run is after I bought my house, I wanted to build a simple fence in my backyard. And I realized that I hit a snag when I was trying to build a 6-foot-tall fence in my backyard. I have 2 dogs. One of them is half Great Dane. And I wanted to build a rather tall fence, and I got hit with an ordinance of maximum height of 3 foot for my fence. And I was kind of groveling about this to my friends, and suddenly I started to, my friends that live in Neenah were also telling me very much the same problems that they were having. One person wanted to rebuild their garage, but they were hit with a setback ordinance. One person wanted to build a shed in their backyard, and the ordinance changed on him 3 times while he was building it, and he had to comply to it 3 times. So I wanted to make some distinct changes within the city of Neenah government, and we can't just simply sit back and just kind of wait for someone else to do it. It has to be you. So I threw in my hat, and here I am.
While you both have almost answered this question already, we're going to start with Brian Defferding. What piqued your interest to run for alderman?
I guess I kind of pretty much answered that question already in my opening statement, but I'll kind of expand on that though. Being an art grad too, I want to bring arts and culture to Neenah. And there's lots of times where I've been in Chicago, Milwaukee, Minneapolis. They embrace the arts culture, and I want Neenah to embrace the arts culture, and we have. And I just want to further that. I want to continue in with that. We've got the Riverside Players with all the theater that happens there. And soon we're going to be developing Arrowhead Park, and I think that's a perfect opportunity for us to promote arts there too. Whether it be murals or sculptures, things of that nature. So I have been making a point to come to the Arts Council meetings and been listening in on what they've been doing. So I kind of I want to contribute to that as well. So I want to make Neenah's economy vibrant and full of color and imagination and more free.
Thank you, Brian. And Dana Steele, sorry.
It's okay.
Same question. What piqued your interest to run for alderman?
So I think I've mostly answered that too. I'm interested in a lot of aspects of what happens in the city and in the decision making that goes into making choices for our city. What directions do we want to go in? And I think my overriding goal is to make this city work for everyone. I think it should work for people who are not just the decision makers, not just the wealthy. I think it should work for everyone.
Thank you, Danae. So you have the next question. What challenges will Neenah be facing in the next decade, and how can we be successful in handling?
So I can see a number of issues. We have a big one recently with Kimberly-Clark announcing that they're closing a plant here. Obviously, there are people at the state level interested in trying to figure out how to keep those jobs here. I think jobs in general is going to be a continued issue. We have some. And bringing good jobs to the city, and I think the city has done a good job with that, but it's going to continue to be an issue, and I think the state can be involved, but I think obviously the city is involved as well. There are some very practical and mundane issues. I know that garbage collection is a recent issue. How are we going to handle garbage collection? Many municipalities are moving towards using automated trucks. Garbage collection is actually a fairly dangerous profession. There's a lot of injuries to garbage workers, and so I think thinking about a lot of aspects of these kinds of issues is going to be really important.
Thank you, Danae. Same question for you, Brian. What challenges will Neenah be facing in the next decade, and how can we be successful handling them?
Garbage collection is certainly one of those that's coming on the forefront. I was there at the committee meeting recently when we were talking about different ideas what to do with garbage collection, and everyone is kind of pushing towards automated. The workers for the city pretty much said that, look, you know, this work is killing my back here. And me working in the stainless steel industry, I know how it affects their health long term. So I would certainly prefer an automated service, whether it be public or private. I think that's something that we're having further meetings on, and we need to make sure that it's accessible to the public so that everyone knows the costs before we go forward and make that decision. The other thing is Arrowhead Park. I was recently at the Park and Rec meeting, a couple weeks ago, and it was the number that was floated around into developing Arrowhead Park right now is $17.5 million. That's about 3/4 the size of Neenah's budget that we're going to be spending over the next 5 years. That is an issue. We have to figure out how to get that money in order to develop that, to develop Arrowhead Park, and we have to make sure that we're not going to be creating, you know, a large tax raise in order to do that, because at that point then becomes detrimental rather than encouraging people to come to Neenah. So we have to figure out a way to develop Arrowhead Park without raising taxes. And also there's the carry forward spending. Right now there's about $3 million in projects that Neenah has that they borrowed for and they're paying interest on, but they have not gone forward in those projects. And these are projects that are over 3 years old, going back from 2015 all the way back to 2010. So we need to figure out a way to get a hold on that and perhaps reprioritize those dollars to current year issues, whether that be, you know, for instance, Shattuck Middle School and helping out some of the schools around here.
Thank you, Brian. So our next question is, what experience do you have in collaborating with diverse departments to address concerns within the
Well, what I've been doing with the city is just simply talking to as many people as possible and becoming a listener. And this especially goes to people that you know are simply not like me. I have been going to the Celebrate Diversity Fox Cities events like Latino Fest up in Appleton, and I've been talking to a couple of, like for instance, school teachers. One of them, Eben Grisby, who is a teacher over at Green Bay. And I've been having lots of conversations with them to find out what we can do to be accommodating here in Neenah. So,
Thank you, Brian. Same question for you, Danae. What experience do you have in collaborating with diverse departments to address concerns within the city?
So this is the first time I've run for public office, so I don't actually have experience working with the departments of the city. I have met with a number of the department heads within the city. I've been learning about as much as I can about how the city functions. I have lots of experience in my job working with diverse people. So my patients come from all walks of life. And I also have a lot of experience collaborating with other healthcare providers to do the best we can for each individual patient. And sometimes that involves very creatively addressing their issues if standard care isn't working for them. So I feel very comfortable collaborating with lots of different kinds of people.
Thank you, Danae. This is another question. So both of you have posted that you are interested in art. Could you describe what is significant to you regarding art?
So I'm a quilter, and I have a website with years worth of quilts posted on it. I like participatory art. I like encouraging everybody to do art that they're interested in. I love that our community has things like the Bergstrom Mahler Museum of Glass that offers classes and lots of other ways for people to participate in art throughout the city.
Thank you, Danae. Brian, same question. What is significant to you regarding art?
Well, it's art is just simply expression. It is an extension of who we are as human beings, and it makes life fun. It makes life full of curiosities. It makes us happy. Right? I think and the thing of it is about art is that there's not enough yet explored, and there's so much stuff that we can do here in Neenah to help out. I mean, there's recently we're thinking of putting up art along some of the traffic crosswalks. I'd like us to kind of continue on with that and maybe incorporate art into some of the things within our public works. And this way, it just brings another attraction to the city of Neenah. And I think that's just so important so that we could show everyone within the state of Wisconsin that this is a center of imagination, and this is where we can be, colorful and vibrant, and we can make it fun, and we can show, kind of be pioneers on how creative we can be.
Thank you, Brian. This is another question, so you have to go again. So the next question is, what are ways that you will support Neenah's economic development?
Well, I think first and foremost, when it comes to economic development, is that we have to make sure that we're being accommodating to people who live and do business here. So, and so this very much ties into the whole reason why I was interested in running. Is we cannot have this city be overly strict in our rules and regulations. We have to allow the economy to be dynamic. And recently, obviously, the big issue right now is with Kimberly-Clark closing. Working in the stainless steel industry myself, I know for a fact that there is a gigantic void in stainless steel welding. Right now, the average age for a welder is 57 years old in the entire United States. There are people, you can take night classes for welding at Fox Valley Tech, and within a year or 2 years you can get a welding degree, and then you can find a really well-paying job because there is plenty of opportunity out there. So we need to be accommodating for that. And so that's probably the most important thing, is that we have to allow the economy to be dynamic and change with the times. And right now the time is in manufacturing. And so I think we should just move over from paper over to perhaps welding and manufacturing.
Thank you, Brian. Danae, same question. What are ways you will support Neenah's economic development?
Well, I think the city has done a good job of supporting economic development, and that's there are a variety of ways that the city has done that. For instance, working with developers to support projects that bring in jobs and improve the community. Work with community development block grants, TIF districts, et cetera, to improve areas of the city that are in danger of becoming run down, and bring in new economic development. So I think those are important things that the city can do. Some of those things, I think you have to evaluate projects on an individual basis too. I think things like protecting the environment is important. I think that TIF districts should not be used to support urban sprawl and build up areas that are green spaces now. I think they should be used for areas that need rejuvenation. So those are things that I immediately think of.
Thank you, Danae. For our next question, it says, Neenah has a history of forward thinking, planning, and action. How will you contribute to Neenah's future?
Well, I'm trying to contribute to Neenah's future by running for office. So that is, in fact, what I'm interested in doing. I think we have, there's a lot that's good in this community, and I think we can continue to look at how the community can work better for all of its residents. So long term, that's what my goal is. I like to see lots of different ideas put forth. I like to try and involve people as much as possible in the community. I think we all benefit when more people are involved in planning for what we want in the community.
Thank you, Danae. Brian, same question. Neenah has a history of forward thinking, planning, and action. How will you contribute?
Well, I think that certainly with both arts and culture is one thing that I'd really like to put my imprint in it. Right now, the Loop the Lake is being built, and it's almost done. We're going to be opening that place up in June, the grand opening, and then eventually Arrowhead Park. And that's a very pretty area. And now it's one of those things where I'm walking through that area, and I walk my dogs through that area quite a bit. What if we opened that space up for festivals, for live music? What if we had like a night carnival there? What if we allowed people to be there a little bit later on so that we could do something fun at night? That area is very pretty, and that's one of the cool things about Neenah is that we're surrounded by a couple of bodies of water. That's a lot of opportunity that's an open canvas, and so I think we can really tap into that potential right there. So that's what I'd like to do as on City Council.
Okay, this is our last question, and then we'll have closing remarks. This is for you, Brian. What do you feel is the role of a city council?
I think the role of city council is that we are the person that not only is the bridge between the resident and the government, but we also have to make sure that we're also keeping the government in check. Lots of times, and I've been to a lot of meetings where it just seems to be that a lot of people on certain committees just simply do not ask any questions. And it is our job to ask questions to make sure that the residents and the businesses are not being run roughshod over. And that is our responsibility as City Council.
Thank you, Brian. Danae, same question. What is the role of a city council?
So I think the role of the City Council is to get input from the residents about what needs to be done. So that can obviously be individual concerns of residents, and then to do things. Well, I mean, I think probably the largest thing one of the largest things the City Council has to do is determine the budget. And a budget is a document that expresses the values of a community, whether it's a business or an individual or, in this case, a city. And so that budgeting process is incredibly important, and I think reflects our values as a community. And I think our values as a community require that we take into account a large number of different important factors within the community and what's important to our residents. So I think that's one of the main things we do. I think the City Council is responsible for ordinances to protect people, and I think ordinances can be too too restrictive at times, but I think our job is to devise ordinances that protect the people and protect our city and all of its residents.
Thank you, Danae. Now we're just going to do our closing remarks. And
so I've been learning as much as possible about the city. I am enjoying this. I am very much enjoying meeting all the people I've met in the process of running for this office. I am hoping to be able to be involved for years to come in what is going to be the future of our city. I look forward to the opportunity to meet any of you who'd like to talk to me afterwards. I look forward to the opportunity to serve our city, and I appreciate your vote.
Thanks very much. Brian, closing remarks?
Yeah, to kind of echo what Danae said, it's this whole process of talking to people and talking to everyone within the city of Neenah has been incredibly rewarding. And I keep telling myself that let's say even if I lose this election, I still have won. I feel like I've been enlightened so much, and I've made a lot of new friends here in Neenah, and I will be continuing to contribute towards Neenah no matter what. I would like to continue getting involved with the Arts Council, and I've been talking to some other local artists and photographers, like photographer Che Correa, whose work is up right now. And and I might even audition for the Riverside Theater, because that was one of the new things that I've done last year, is that I was acted into a local play, and I had a lot of fun. So I want to do it again. So I may do it at Riverside Park sometime very soon. So anyways, I do think that I want to be the person that represents you. I want to be the person that listens to you, and I want to address your concerns, and I will make sure that you will be served as as City Council.
Thank you, Brian. And thank you all for attending this Alderman Candidates Forum. This forum will be on the Neenah City website next Tuesday. We're going to now take a break before our next forum. Welcome, and thank you for attending the Candidates Forum for Winnebago County Board Supervisor. This is sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Winnebago County. I am Claire Laux, and I will be your moderator this evening. There are ushers in the back, and Peggy Cox and Vicki Lenz are the ushers, so you can give them questions, and we will ask them for you. The timekeeper is Connie Canitz. And, okay, so I just want to briefly introduce our candidates. From District 7, we have Steve Lenz, and his opponent, Kate Hancock, will not be attending tonight because while she's still on the ballot, she has chosen to bow out to enable Steve to have undivided support. And from District 10, we have George Shirk and Stephanie Spellman. So we're going to get started now. Each candidate has 3 minutes to introduce themselves, and we are going to be starting with Stephanie Spellman.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for putting this on and for having me here today, and I'd like to thank everyone who came out tonight. My name is Stephanie Spellman, and I graduated from UW-Oshkosh 5 years ago, and I've worked in Neenah ever since. I'm a training specialist at Plexus in downtown Neenah, and in May I'll graduate with a master's degree in human resource development. I am very passionate about serving my community, and I'm looking to listen to those who are my neighbors and those in Winnebago County and bring forward very positive change and much needed change in the county. I am really looking forward to working together with those on the county board to bring decisive action to areas that have not had that. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Our second person to introduce themselves will be Glenn.
Likewise, thank you to the League of Women Voters for putting this on. I think it's great that you guys are putting these forums on and giving the community an opportunity to hear from us, ask their questions. I hope it doesn't stop there. I have things posted out there. I'm sorry, I don't have it. But I can hand out my contact information for anybody that wants to reach out to me and ask any further questions that come up between now and April. Likewise, by all means, reach out to me anytime afterwards also. A little bit about myself. I am a Winnebago County person through and through. I was born at Theta Clark, lived out in Larson, town Clayton, lived there till about second grade, moved into the city of Neenah, lived here, grew up. I'm a Neenah alumni, graduated in '98. I went to school, University of Oshkosh, lived down there for a little while, moved back to Neenah. It's a great town, or a great city, and started my family here. That's also where I started my career, was in warehouse management. Stayed in the community, went into computer software, kind of a bit of a jump, especially with somebody that started out going for psychology. I did leave the area for a little bit to pursue a job, but ended up coming back here to the city that I love, the county that I love, and I am currently living here with my wife and my 4 kids. I have 4 kids, all 4 of them are in the Neenah Joint School District. And the main reason I'm running is because I feel it's time for me to pay back to the community that has helped me get to where I am in my life. Other things that I'd like to do is also open up transparency and try to connect folks to their government. That's one of the things that I keep hearing is it's hard to get information, it's hard to reach out to candidates, and I'm hoping that I will be that conduit for those folks.
Thank you, Steve. Now, George Shirk, would you like to introduce?
Yes, my name is George Shirk. Again, thank you to the League. As everyone else has said, I've lived in Winnebago County since 1966. I'll skip over age, if you don't mind. My wife, Marianne, and I have been married for 52 years. We have 3 sons. We have 3 children that we have regarded as grandchildren since the day they were born. In fact, one of them, Addie Jo, is in touch a class from Neenah High School, and they are leaving Thursday for China for an 11-day tour and performance. And the middle daughter is Clara, and she's getting married in June. So we have a number of things that are exciting coming up in our life. I commend my opponent for her interest in county government. That's a hard thing to come by, and it's admirable that she takes interest. It also is the first step for effective elected officials, is to care about the community and to have interest in becoming involved. It also requires knowledge of the issues and the process, experience, and leadership skills. When those 4 factors come together, then I think you can work effectively with other people and get things done. I received a master's degree from the University of Colorado. I was a Neenah teacher of government, economics, and U.S. history for 32 years, and I was social studies department chair most of that time. I was teacher of the year twice and Fox Valley Association coach of the year. In fact, I coached 77 seasons in 3 sports over that time period. During this time, I was elected Neenah Alderman for 24 years. I was council president for 8 terms, and I chaired the Finance and Public Works Committee. I was mayor for 12 years and was president of the Water Commission, the Plan Commission, and Wisconsin mayors elected me as president of the League of Municipalities. I also served on the Alliance of Cities Board of Directors, and now as a county board supervisor, I am vice chair of the UW Education and Extension Committee, the UW Board of Trustees, the Industrial Development Board, the Aviation Committee, and the Neenah Library Board. My 4 decades of public service is focused on budget, on continued economic development, on personnel management, improving the quality of life, and it's my hope that voters will look at my record and decide to return me for another term. Thank you.
Thank you, George. So let's start with questions. Candidate will be allowed 2 minutes for their responses. Our first candidate to be asked a question will be, question is, what are some concerns you have about Winnebago being able to meet the healthcare needs of the people in Winnebago County? And how do you suggest to meet these?
Healthcare is a concern. I think that I'll go and be as bold as to say it's not only something that we should think about, but it's also a right. Nobody should be worried about if they're going to be able to get coverage, whether they're going to be able to have their kids covered. If Casey decides to move out and they find themselves without a job, that shouldn't be something that they worry about. Likewise, if the unfortunate situation occurs where they may come down with a terminal illness like cancer, Again, that shouldn't be the number one thing on their mind. They should be more focused on healing. I do believe it is something that we should focus on. Obviously, to cover people, it costs money. I also think that it's something that can have a return on investment. If people aren't covered, then we have worse health conditions out there, and things just continue to get worse. I think that is one of the areas that we are going to need to leverage our state and federal officials and basically be the voice for the people of Winnebago County, to work with them and see what we can do to get healthcare down to the municipal level.
Thank you, Steve. Same question, George.
Thank you. As you all know, the opioid epidemic is nationwide, and it's hit Winnebago County. And we have recently decided to work with other counties to try to find solutions and to go after those drug companies that are causing that problem. We have a quality health facility at Parkview. We have diversion programs that are trying to take those that normally would be imprisoned or in our jails and divert them to mental health, because I think that overall mental health is one of the biggest challenges that we face as a community. Not much different, I don't think, than any other community, but Winnebago County certainly has to deal with that subject.
Thank you, George. Same question, Stephanie.
I agree with Steve that healthcare should be a right for every resident of Winnebago County. I think that people should not have to worry about if they can afford healthcare or afford to put food on the table. I believe that if people are healthy, they will be more prosperous and will have a stronger community. I think that we need to give more accessible healthcare to the people of Winnebago County. We need to have more services available for mental health, as George mentioned, and also diversion programs because of our overcrowding in the Winnebago County Jail. We need to have compassion for people and understand that we are not all given a fair chance, and we need to take care of one another. And so I would work my hardest to make sure that we can provide health care to the citizens of Winnebago County.
Thank you, Stephanie. George, you're up for the next question. What, in your opinion, is the county's most pressing budget issue?
We have so many. One of the first is the fact that we are at a 21-year low in terms of budget debt. But to maintain that is going to be extremely complicated because we have an aging infrastructure, and that has to be addressed. We have a second major issue that's going to have a budget implication, and that's that many of our quality employees are reaching or have already reached retirement age. And so as we look out throughout the country to find quality people to replace them, especially at the department head level, when we have to control spending, that becomes a major challenge. And then finally, maintaining property tax is an important issue. It's one that we have to absolutely focus on, but at the same time, we face the challenge of preserving and providing quality public services. So those two things don't necessarily go together. If you want to preserve public services, you find that it costs money. And so keeping the budget under control while at the same time we provide those quality public services that people have a right to expect will be a challenge.
Thank you, George. Stephanie, same question.
I believe that we need to make smart investments to balance our budget and to also bring more jobs to this area and to provide revenue for the county. I believe that the county board currently is very indecisive and is not coming to quick decisions and is not properly informed on all decisions regarding major spending. So I would ask that the county board be responsible with the taxpayer money and look at ways that we can smartly invest into our future, into projects, into programs that will yield a great return and improve our communities.
Thank you, Stephanie. Steve, same question.
So as I mentioned earlier, I think we need to get more participation in our government. One of the things that I would like to see is look for opportunities where we can maybe move some of our committees to timeframes where other folks would be able to attend, participate, or at least stay informed. I heard a lot of people mention that they want more information. I looked out on the site. There's a lot of good information out there, but there is an opportunity to see where we can make the site a little bit more user-friendly, a little bit more intuitive for the person looking for information and being wise to present the information that people are looking for more often. One of the other things that I agree with George on is we have an issue with aging infrastructure. I think we need to be wiser with our spending as we go forward. One of the things I'd hate to see is have another Huber Center or spend so much effort and energy into discussing what to do with a terminal. I think we need to invest up front, see what the root cause is that's causing jail numbers to increase, and try to invest that way so that we don't have to have all this infrastructure, which 20 years from now, our children have to decide what to do with and how to keep how to pay for the new roof and keep the building heated.
Thank you, Steve. Our next question on that note is for Stephanie. Since April is National County Government Month, how would you increase public interest and encourage civil engagement in Winnebago County?
Thank you. That's an excellent question. As I've been knocking on doors and talking to people in my neighborhood, a lot of people don't know that we have a county board or what county board does or who represents them currently. I think that we need to have increased awareness and increased information available to the people of Winnebago County. I think that the board should take more of an active role in reaching out to community members and go door to door, make phone calls. We are here to represent the people. And I would like there to be more programs to invite the community in to participate and have active discussions about key issues that they are stakeholders in.
Thank you, Stephanie. Steve, same question.
As I'd mentioned before, I think getting some of the committees at a time frame when more people can attend would get them more engaged, would get them more thinking about it. It would also open more transparency, which I believe is key for people feeling like they're part of the community or part of the county. I think we also need to stop waiting for people to come to the county, and as board members, we need to go to the people. As Stephanie had mentioned, we need to get out there and know these folks. We need to be their representatives. We need to be their voices. We need to, with state and federal politics getting so dirty, we need to be the ground that they can come back to and represent them and help guide them through political situations like registration and going out and getting and voting and things like that.
Thank you, Steve. George, same question.
Thank you. I agree with Steve about the time frame that we have committees meeting. We have some that meet at 8 a.m., which is certainly not very appropriate for the typical working class person. And I've argued for that. One of the major things that I've argued for with no success, I've introduced it 3 times, and that's that it says on our agenda that the public may speak on any issue that's on the agenda. And in fact, they ought to be able to speak on any issue, period. I brought it up several times. A couple of times it almost passed, but sometimes it didn't even come close. They seem to be somewhat afraid of the public, when in fact that's what they're there for, is to represent the public. And I don't think we do it very well. So I think that, while we televise the meetings, our public forums show very little involvement. When we had the racetrack versus Life Fest issue, the place was packed. Other than that, we have almost nobody there, which is almost similar to city councils. And so, unfortunately, we have a declining interest in local government, and we need to continue to look for ways to improve that.
Thank you, George. And Steve, this question is for you. What distinguishes you as a candidate?
What distinguishes me as a candidate? For folks that know me, I'm a bit of a unique individual, a slightly different thinker. But one of the things that I hadn't seen out there in too many positions, I have a background in psychology. That's what I got my degree in. I spent some time in management. I've gotten involved with computer systems. I'm now in IT. My experience has been across the board. I'm the type of person that may not be a master of any one thing, but I take on any new challenges and will find new, unique ways of addressing them. One of the things that I try to pride myself in is trying to find a solution that somebody else hasn't thought of. And I think that's key, especially with the changing times, is we need different thoughts and different ideas to be competitive with the changing world.
Thank you, Steve. George, same question.
Thank you. I think the key factor is probably experience. As I read at the very beginning, I've been involved in a lot of different things, both at the legislative level and the executive level. I've not only reviewed budgets for a long time, but I've also made budgets. And I think that that's an experience that, when you look at the county budget, for example, it's about this thick, and you can go through it, but then to try to remember what's in it becomes very difficult. But when you've made budgets, you know what to look for. And so I think that experience is a key factor that hopefully as I continue on the county board, if that's the voters' wish, I can rely on that to help improve that process.
Thank you, George. Stephanie, same question.
I think something that sets me apart is the fact that I'm a woman. Currently on the board, there are 6 women out of the 36 seats, and I think that we need to change that. Half the population in Winnebago County is women, and we need to be fairly represented. I also feel that we don't have enough young people on the board. Most of the people on the board are retired and haven't been in the workforce in a while. I feel that we need people who are in the workforce, who are aware of what is going on, and involved in their communities. I think that it is very commendable of the people who have served in our government. And I think that it's important that we get new people in to learn from them and to be guided by them so that the next generation can have people that are qualified. I also think we need more diversity in terms of people from different backgrounds and different ethnicities. There are 2 people on the board currently who are ethnic minorities. I think that needs to change because we have a diverse community, and we want people to feel that they are represented and that the people on the board understand them and come from similar backgrounds. So I feel that it's important that we have that more diversity and that I bring a unique perspective as a young professional.
Thank you, Stephanie. George, this question is for you. What is or do you think will be the most rewarding part of being county board supervisor?
It's really a great question because I think elected officials have a rather unique opportunity to serve the public and to work with other people. We need to have, first of all, the opportunity to diverge from just working among ourselves and to work with other counties. I'm on the UW Fox Valley Board of Trustees, and as many of you know, Fox Valley is run by both Winnebago County and Outagamie County. So I think it's critical that we do more of that. We've been doing that with water resources. I think that anytime you have the opportunity to make a difference, I think that becomes its own reward. This community educated my children. It provided me with a career. It's given me a unique opportunity for public service, and this is my way of paying back a little bit of what's been given to me.
Thank you, George. Stephanie, same question.
I'm really looking forward to seeing the impact of decisions that are made on the board. I think that as a county board supervisor, I would have a direct impact on people's lives and can make improvements to those lives. I would really enjoy seeing programs and new initiatives going forward that would help the individuals in the community for specific concerns.
Thank you, Stephanie. Steve, same question.
As I said earlier, and I agree with George, it would give me an opportunity to give back to the same community that I have grown up in and have built my life in. It's an opportunity to serve those folks as well as returning a little bit that was invested in me. It's also an opportunity to represent my friends, my family, my neighbors, as well as my children, and it also will give me an opportunity to hopefully build a foundation that our children in their generation will be able to grow from and take to the next level in the upcoming years.
Thank you, Steve. Stephanie, this question is for you. This is going to be our last question, and then we will have our closing remarks. What specific changes would you like to see in Winnebago County?
I feel that there are a lot of changes that are needed at the Winnebago County Board, and I think that one thing that would be important, in addition to added diversity on the board, would be to have more transparency and more open communication with the public to get people more involved and to show them the impact of the board's decisions on their lives. I think that more people would show up to meetings and would voice concerns if they were more informed and there is more transparency. I feel that a lot of things are done behind closed doors on committees and without the involvement of the public, without the involvement of experts in those areas. And I would like to see more collaboration among different committees and collaboration with the public.
Thank you, Stephanie. Steve, same question.
Similar to what Stephanie said, I would like to see the county board not just be a legislative body, but I would also like to see it more of a partner with the community. One example, I talked to my friend who is a small business owner, and they're struggling. And I would like to see where there's opportunities to meet with those folks that do own small businesses, see what kind of hurdles we can help remove. If we don't have the power on the board to do so, then perhaps we can open up discussions with different state and federal officials to see how we can knock down some of those hurdles, reduce some of those risks, and make things a little bit more fair for small businesses to grow in this very competitive corporate world that we're in. I would also like to be a little bit wiser with our spending, look for opportunities where we won't have expensive infrastructure sitting around for the next generation. If we have an opportunity to invest up front, an example being the jails, is there a way to reduce some of the crimes through different programs so that we don't have to invest in a very expensive jail that may, in the next 20 years, sit half vacant. And I think there will be other opportunities too where we can spend money up front so that we don't have to spend money on the back end.
Thank you, Steve. George, same question.
Thank you. We've heard a lot of talk about transparency and about open government. I don't think anybody disagrees with that. The problem is finding a way to do it. You can certainly open, I've mentioned the open forum, the public forum. That's one way we can do it. County board seems very reluctant to do it. But it's important that we find ways to get knowledge to the public. Steve mentioned the jail overcrowding. The jail right now is at it's designed for 350 inmates. It has an average of 322 right now. So it's at that point where it's very, very soon going to become overcrowded. And I think diversion programs that find ways to deal with people that are convicted of crimes is really critical for us. As many of you know, Lincoln Hills has been closed or is going to be closed, and that responsibility will fall on the county. Fortunately, we have the facilities and the personnel to deal with it right now, but whether we'll be able to continue to deal with it in the future becomes a really ongoing issue. So I think it's easy to talk about changes. It's not so easy to bring them about, but I don't think that should stop us from making an effort and finding people who are willing to make changes that will make the whole county a better place.
Thank you, George. So now we're going to enter our concluding remarks. And Steve, you'll go first.
All right. I'm a father. I have 4 children. As I have, some of you may say that I'm still pretty young, and I thank you for those comments, or anybody that wants to say that. But the fact is, I've watched in my almost 4 decades, things change, and we've had to make decisions, sometimes good, sometimes bad. I really want to see a Winnebago County that is focused on the future. We need to look for opportunities that our children won't have to pay for as they get older and become adults, but instead will be able to benefit from. Some of the things that I would like to start opening dialogue about would be things like trying to bring in either green industries or at least make some of our infrastructures a little bit more green, a little bit more efficient. I definitely would like to expand, if we can find opportunities to bring art and music. I know there's a lot of great things in the city of Neenah. It'd be nice if we could bring that to all corners of Winnebago County too. And I would like to be in office and leave the county a better place than when I had started there. Open up some transparency, build some networks so that folks can stay informed and know how to navigate around the county government and the county information.
Thank you, Steve. George, concluding remarks?
Thank you. I want to first of all thank the League for their efforts to keep local government nonpartisan, focusing on public service, not politics. When there are differences of opinion in the past, whether at this local level in Neenah or at the county, it's been over how to best serve the citizens, not political party differences. The county clearly faces many challenges, but the good thing is we have the personnel and the assets to face these challenges. I've said before, the focus has to be on controlling spending while maintaining quality public services. Being progressive means we search out ways to make the community a better place to live for everybody. We need to certainly attract new business, but we also have to worry about retaining existing businesses. With 80,000 acres of streams and rivers and lakes, preserving water quality is really a critical issue, and that's one of the places where we've collaborated with surrounding counties to try to find ways to make that happen. Finally, the county has a reputation for national events like EAA and Life Fest, and we need to expand and search out other venues that will make that continue to be true of Winnebago County, because we are a county of events. The new arena in downtown Oshkosh has been playing to packed audiences, and that's going to be a benefit to not just Oshkosh, but to all of Winnebago County. And then finally, I think it's really important that we find ways to serve both the northern and southern parts of Winnebago County. At times, the service seems to be slanted a little bit toward the southern end. And I think that if we can find ways and work with other people to try to balance that, I think we will all be better off. And then finally, I would just urge people to vote on April 3rd.
Thank you, George. Stephanie?
I believe that we need to have economic development in Winnebago County. I think we need to be attractive to new businesses. We need to support small businesses in the area, and we need to have amenities that make Winnebago County an attractive place to live. When it comes to making decisions on infrastructure and development, I think that we need to really consider the costs and the benefits and be smart about those decisions and make wise investments for the future. I also believe that the board should make decisive actions and should come to decisions in a timely manner. A lot of the biggest issues out there right now have been out there for many years and no action has been taken. I think that the people of Winnebago County deserve better, and they deserve someone who is going to put forward their best effort to make things happen. And lastly, it's important that we improve the lives of the people of Winnebago County. We are here to serve, and we are here to improve the lives, whether it be better access to health care or services, or a better communities that are stronger and have good paying jobs. So I'd ask that you consider these things, and that you know that I will bring about change, and that I will bring a new voice and new ideas to Winnebago County.
Thank you, Stephanie. And I want to thank Steve Lenz from District 7 and Stephanie Spellman and George Shirk from District 10, for agreeing to do this for us. I want to thank you all for attending, and don't forget to vote on Tuesday, April 3rd. This forum has been graciously recorded thanks to the City of Neenah. The recording will be available on the city's website on Tuesday and broadcast on the local cable channel. Thank you very much.
Broadcasts of the City of Neenah Common Council meetings are produced by University Studios of the University of Wisconsin-Fox Valley. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents via the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues or about these broadcasts by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or by completing the electronic feedback form on the city website, www.neenahgov.org. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited for playback.